Good evening, everyone. Welcome to my weekly Node-RED live stream. Here with an hour or so of something Node-RED. Not entirely sure. I'm a bit... I sat down 2 minutes ago. And what I planned to do, I've just realised isn't going to work tonight. So it's one of those weeks when I am improvising for the first few minutes to figure out something interesting. I want to sort of get stuck into something new. It's been a while since we've done... Well, no, that's not true. Last week we did new stuff. We did the URI fragments. So that was some time spent last week supporting the ability to hot link into individual nodes. Now, I should really go and watch that video back because at the end of it, at the end of the stream, I raised a draft pull request. And I can't remember why I kept it draft. What didn't we do as part of that work? Because if anyone can remember from last week, I should say hi to everyone. Hi to everyone in chat. Do say hi if you're joining. It's always great to see you. This is the pull request from last week. So if you recall, this was supporting having hash flow, hash node, hash group, and then its ID, and then also being able to do /edit in order to edit things. Yeah, and for some reason, when I raised this PR, I raised it as a draft PR. And for the life of me, I can't quite think what it was. We got it working for flows, we got it working for nodes, and we got it working for groups. And we got it, if you add /edit on the end, it would open the edit dialog for each of those things. I think that was all good. And that's sound. Perhaps yes. Config nodes I wasn't sure about, but they did work. We did add in some error checking, Bobby tables. So here we did do, we validate that it is something that we know how to show before we try to show it. We could possibly add a little bit more validation, but that's probably good enough. It's coming back to me now. The part of the feature we didn't get to was how do we allow a user to get a hold of such a crafted URL? And now I've remembered that, why don't we just focus on that rather than me trying to figure out something else entirely? So, and it's always good to actually finish a piece of work. So we're going back to the URI fragments branch. Switching my head back into Node-RED world. I'm going to run grunt dev, get that going. Yeah, I have to say, I'm just going to, whilst that's spinning up, quick detour, because this is why I was running a bit late. I got way too distracted. I'm moving office at the moment. So I'm moving to the room next door. So in the very near future, I will have a different backdrop. But it means I won't have this window right behind me. Anyway, so this is because this is what I like doing. I've spent far too long modelling the room and trying to work out all these shelves, and this is a wardrobe with lots of shelves I'm figuring out. And anyway, I've got this big elaborate set of shelves I'm going to build around my desk, and I just spent way too long in Blender when I should have been preparing for this live stream. But there we are. So yeah, back to the topic of the night. We are going to look at adding an action of some sort. It might be an action, it might be, well, it's going to be a context menu thing. We want to be able to right click on a node and say copy, what would the text be? copy URI link to node, copy. Now, something I know that, let's just go to, say, this page. If I select some text in Chrome and I right link, they offer this copy link to highlight, which is neat. And if you look at the URL that generates, it actually has the text. It adds this special fragment. So when you go to that URL, notice how it's actually highlighted the text I had, which is quite nifty. And then you can remove the highlight. So yeah, this idea of right click and then copy link to, yeah, maybe it's copy link to, well, the trouble is copy link, that could get, we have wires, people might get muddled. What do we mean by link? Yeah. Well, rather than stare at it, let's just go and write some code. What are we going to do? We're going to build in a new action. And it's to do with the clipboard. So let's add it to clipboard.js. Why can't I see the word clipboard? There it is. It's in alphabetical order and I couldn't see it. Anyway, so this is all our clipboardy type stuff. Let's go find, there must be an init function in here, sure enough. And here you can see we're adding a whole bunch of other actions. Out of interest, we must have core copy selected nodes. Is it? Yeah, copy selected nodes. That must exist somewhere. Let's just go and find, where does that action exist? Copy selected. Huh. Ah, copy selection. There it is. Oh no. Copy selection. Interesting, that's in view.js, not in clipboard. Whilst I'm partly loath to add yet more stuff to view.js, it kind of does make sense to have it in here. So red.actions.add core copy link to node. Now I'm going to say node. I'm just wary of adding like copy link to flow, copy link to group, copy link to node. I just want to be able to do a copy link to thing. Yeah. We're going to go to copy link to node function. Then we are going to, let's just write it. Okay, I'll come back to that name. You're suggesting good things in the chat, but I'm going to just crack on with trying to write something. Right. And I'm immediately now just trying to remember how to write code. Copy selection. No, no, we want. This is all we want. So we're going to get the selection. copy item URL. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Bobby Tables. You win this round. So we're saying we've got a selection and we have at least one thing selected. We are going to, what are we going to do? We need to establish what type of thing it is, so we know whether it's a node or a node or a group. Sorry, my brain is running away. I need to talk whilst I type. So we need to generate something that looks like hash thing type slash selection.node 0.id. And then thing type equal, let's assume it is a node. And did we do yeah, it's singular, not plural. But if we say if selection.nodes 0.type is a group, then we can say thing type yeah. So both tables shouldn't selection.nodes.length only be one thing? Well, I'm going to be forgiving. I'm going to say if you've selected multiple, we're just going to operate on the first. Yeah. Okay. Let's see if that does it. So if I select this node, oh, have I reloaded? I think I did. Right, just get everything refreshed, everything lined up. We're all good. Right. Select that, and then we do copy item URL. There, hash node. Boom. Looks good. What we're also going to end in here, though, is what do we want? Window.location. Okay, so that gets me everything, including the fragment, but we don't want the fragment. What were we using before to actually get hold of it? Current hash. Yeah, window location.hash. Oops. Eek. Right. Keep focus. Too many windows open. Okay. So we basically want the location, we want everything before the hash. Now, I'm sure there's got to be a safe way of doing that without just having to rebuild the whole. So we've got origin, path. I mean, do we build it up again? Do we do origin followed by path followed by the hash we want? So what would that be? Window.location.origin, window.location.path name. New tab. Yeah, that's working. Do I not have any groups? I thought I had a group lurking around here somewhere. Yes, down here. So now if I do copy item URL, yay! So it's done the right thing and it's generated the group link. Okay, so what next? Well, that's all well and good with captured it. What we now need to do is actually copy that to the clipboard. And I'm sure I've got a utility function somewhere. Yep. Let's see what happens. So let's select this node, this function node down here, copy item URL, come back here, I paste, and there we have the URL. Awesome. And what we could do here is copied URL to clipboard. Because it's nice to get a bit of feedback. Copy item. Well, it's nice to get the code right. Did I not get the code right? Yeah, copy URL to clipboard. Very good. I'm going to say we don't need that notification to stick around for quite so long. Users don't like our notifications. They get in the way, but there must be a timeout. Why can't I see it? Yeah, timeout. Options.timeout. Right. What's the default timeout? That is a very good question. I don't hear any of you asking. The default timeout is none of those, none of those, none of those. Is it that one? Is it 5 seconds? Yeah. So as this is just a quick confirmation, I'm just going to set it to 2 seconds. It's not information that the user needs to yeah, I think. Okay. Nice. Well, that sort of works. Now, it would be nice. What we don't have. Okay, so our context menu at the moment works if you right-click anywhere in the workspace, but not once you click. It doesn't work in the tab bar. So that means we don't get the opportunity to have a copy link. Although interestingly, That's curious. If you look at the... Can you see down in the bottom left corner of the browser where it previews the URL? Notice how the URIs on those tabs is hash followed by the ID. I think that's a way that our tabs operate. So look, as I hover these, you can see in the bottom left corner, the tabs all have an href of hash and then the ID, which is a bit odd, all things considered. Wouldn't it be, it would make much more sense if that tab had an href of hash flow /, which is, you know, what you end up with up here. That would make far more sense. But that's, I know there's a bunch of code that uses that href property of the tabs. Yeah, if I inspect, yeah, see how the href is hash and then the ID. It would be far better. But I'm not going to get into that right now because I think there's, yeah, I'm not going to get into that right now. Just something to be mindful of. Where I was at, the rabbit hole I fell down was, it would be neat if right-clicking on, yeah, okay, I've sort of fallen down the rabbit hole again. When you right-click and you get the browser zone, because you're right-clicking on a tag, a tag, a link, you get all these options. So if I do open link in new tab, well, it's opened the link, but because the href, the hash isn't one of our magic hashes, it doesn't work. Yeah, see if I do copy link address and paste it, see how it hasn't got the flow prefix. So, two different thoughts. My original thought, what led me to right click and discover this fact, was thinking, well, we have our own context menu. I've no doubt there are, you know, we have actions related to tabs, and wouldn't it be neat if we had our custom right click context menu when you right clicked on one of these tabs with that menu? That would make for, in some ways, a far more consistent user experience, and we'd be able to have some tab sort of flow specific actions. But I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole because that is definitely a rabbit hole. What I want to do right now is focus on what we're doing. We've got our copy item URL. Now, what I am thinking is, I'm going to move this out of view.js. And I'm going to move it to View Tools, which is rapidly becoming our surrogate, 1,200 lines of code that is no longer in view.js. And then I'm going to not inline it, because that's not our pattern here. We'll add it up here. Got a copy item URL, and I'm going to pass in an argument here, is edit. Because what we'll do with is edit is say if is edit URL will append the edit tag. And then back here, copy item URL, we will just call it direct. But now what we can do is copy item edit URL. And I don't know if we'll expose this, but it just gives us, hey, because we can, why don't we? So if I say for this inject node, copy item, edit URL, go to another tab, paste it, and there it's brought me straight into the edit dialog. Okay, this is neat. I think this is working. Okay. Should copy be a submenu, copy selection? To be honest with you, Steve, I'm desperately trying to avoid it. But this was always the problem with the context menu, is there's always more stuff to add. And I think the problem is, well, we resolved the submenu stuff because we had to for the insert menu web tables. I guess where I struggle slightly here is copying nodes is a far more common action than it will ever be to copy the URL of a node. So to have a copy submenu penalizes the 95% use case of copying the current selection. Yeah, it penalizes those users for the edge case of being able to copy these URLs. And you're right, yeah, most users will use the keyboard shortcuts and yeah. That's kind of undeniable. So that's I do wonders for just spotting slightly odd behaviours. If I copy and paste these two nodes, now I'm going to click. No, okay, I'm going to paste. I'm going to click. It's doing weird things with what it's leaving selected. Perhaps less so. If I select one node and paste, when I click it to place it, it's no longer selected. Don't like that. I think it should keep selected what's been selected. But, rabbit hole alert, let's finish this out. Copy item URL, copy item edit URL. Now, do we want to add it as a submenu, or I want to try and keep it simple. I want to keep things simple. We can't put all of the, don't know how many actions we've got here, but there's a fair few, and we're not sticking them all on the context menu. We have to be picky as to what ends up on the context menu. Oh god, Noxy boy, would it be great if the toast notification had some top padding to stop it restricting the tabs when deploying? Well, it does. I mean, as long as you haven't got any misconfiguration nodes, then the toast doesn't interfere with anything. If that's what you mean. Where it does interfere is if you've got misconfigured nodes, or basically when the deployed notification is bigger. We've already shrunk it down, and you can click on them to make them go away. Although there's no hint you can do that, maybe you should make it clickable. Well, make the cursor. Anyway, again, rabbit holes. What should we do with this menu? Why don't we stick it on this menu over here? Oh no. We've sort of got what's gone on here? Again, I just keep spotting all these little things. So a menu item with a too long description screws up the... Yeah. Yeah, adding buttons down here is another option. But again, it's just trying to work out I don't know. It's getting a bit of a dull stream once I just stare at it and think. If we were to stick a button down here. Actually, what does... So that reveals it in the outliner. That finds it in the workspace. Yeah, having a third icon here, which is a link icon. Let me just find a suitable icon for it. Link. Yeah. The old... Well... Yeah. What if? Let's just play around. That's what we should do. Let's play around when we're not certain. Got to go find those buttons. What are we referring it to as? Oh, I don't know. It's the thing you click and it does something button. Right, let's look for F8 book. Yay, yeah, F8 book. Interesting. Okay, I don't like this, but I'm not refactoring lots of stove. Are you kidding? Are these things... What? Are these really absolute positioned? Blimey, it is. Okay, we're just going to go... Whoa, what happened? There. Help. We just copy all of that. Going to use a link rather than 32. I'm going to guess and say 64. We'll see. Might be off on that. Oh, no, here. So right, that's reveal at 8 pixels. Okay, there's help at 32. We want it left of both of those, so let's put these in the right order. 8 to 32 is a delta of 24. So we want to go another 24, which is 56. Is it possible to reuse a flow that starts from a trigger? In what sense? Yeah, if you could expand on that question a bit, just to... That would help. So when we click on this button, what are we going to do? We are going to do... oh, no. Right. This is horrible. Oops, refresh the wrong window. So, okay, so you can see we've got the link button there now. It's in the right place. So I thought it was going to be clever and okay. Basically, I'm trying to let's swap these buttons around. Right. No. Okay, so if I've got nothing selected, then it's a flow here. We will have the button to let us access the flow link. If it's a node, we'll have it. If it's a junction, we won't have it because we don't support linking to an individual junction. We could, we don't. And if I have a group selected, it's not showing for the group either. I think more to the point, it's not getting re-shown if it has been hidden for those guys. So at the moment we're only showing in that scenario. There must be some other dot shows for, I don't know. Well, no, because we never. Okay, if it's a tab or a subflow, we want to show it. If it's a group, we want to. Okay, we just have to be a bit more explicit. So I'm just watching, as I select different stuff, watching the buttons appear and disappear, just to make sure we're always showing them the right sets of buttons. Yeah, that's all looking good to me. Okay, so now we have a button we can click. Isn't that fancy? we need to plumb that button up to do something more than just console.log. So, well, we have our action. Yeah. Copy item URL. But now it's slightly different because currently our action grabs it grabs the first thing selected. But in the case of this button, we want to be able to tell it exactly what to generate it for. No guessing needed. So let's change this action so it can take arguments, I think. Yeah. So we're going to modify it so we can pass in, just check through, I'm going to pass in an argument called node, when it might not always be a node, and then we'll pass that straight through as the first argument. Say node, and then here we're going to say if not node, then we're going to do this stuff. So if we've not passed in the node, we'll go get the selection, and as long as there is something there, and then once we get here, as long as we have a node, then we can do our work. And then all these places where I've got this, I want to reference the node we're operating on, not anything to do with the selection. Okay. Okay, so now back in tab info, what we're going to do is do red.actions.invoke core, what did we call it? Copy item URL. And we're going to pass it, I think, selected object is what is selected. Let's try that. Okay, so with nothing selected, if I click it, copy the URL to clipboard, and if I paste, okay, it still says node, because we've now enabled it to handle flows. So we just need to add in a node type tab thing type equals flow. And yes, if this is your first time in these parts, yeah, flows have a type of tab. Yeah. So if I copy that and paste, we have a good URL, we've got flow. If I open up a subflow and hit copy, okay, same bug. Node.type subflow. That should do it. Let's check. Copy. Yeah, so we have flow. Then wherever this one was, select the group, click it. What do we get? We get the group URL. So yeah, this is all working. We still have the actions, so a user could elect to bind them to keyboard shortcuts, and we have got the copy item edit URL to get it with /edit on the end. I'm not at this stage going to bother. Yeah, I'm just not going to bother with that. What about a node in a subflow? Steve, you are testing me, aren't you? Okay, so there's a node inside a subflow. Hit the link, go to a brand new tab, try it out. It works. Of course it works. But because ultimately it just does calls reveal on that ID, and that ID, even though it's in a subflow, it's still unique. Yeah, it's not like in the runtime side where you have to deal with instances of subflows and the like. Okay, there we are. One more thing. And okay, so that one with /edit on the end, that works, yes. But actually, if I go to the flow, which is a subflow /edit, no, that's worked. Yeah, everything's working. Good, good. There was one more thing. Not tab info. We are, tooltips. So we have tooltips on the other buttons, so we should have one here. Help copy item URL, we're going to call it. Where do we want to? Yeah, it's not strictly the help sidebar, is it? Sidebar info. Whilst I'm here, I'm just going to add type button, because not having type button can cause forms to suddenly start submitting themselves, which you don't want. Sidebar info. Let's go have a look at editor.json in enus. Info sidebar, find in workspace, what did we call it? No, I had it in my buffer and then I got distracted. Right, copy item URL. Copy item URL, copy. Is it really that straightforward? Yeah, it is going to be that straightforward. Just to test that. Stick an exclamation mark on it. Rerun. Cool. Well, if this looks good, I'm going to add this to the PR and then set it ready and call it a night. We're almost up at the hour, which is going to end. Ooh. Oh, the editor's not loading. What have I mucked up? Okay. Create pop-over error. Oh, I know exactly what I did. I copied and pasted and I didn't update. I need to update which button I'm attaching the tooltip to. try this again. So copy item URL with an exclamation mark. So it's definitely picking up from the message catalog. So we can now go set the message catalog to what it should be. Cool. I think we're done. So we haven't added it to the context menu. I think I'm okay with that. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's all good enough for a first pass of this feature. So add core copy item typing link action and expose in info sidebar. Does the copy URL button work for config nodes? Oh, you know, sometimes I see problems, I choose not to say them, and then someone so helpfully asks the very innocent question in chat. So, yes, it should. If I come in here, if I select that empty broker node, if I go back to the info tab, and if I hit copy item URL, and then if I just run node-red without the build, just no faffing. If I now go to that node, oh, okay. Got to do with grunt dev. What we're using to pick files for staging. There's a terminal command I use called TIG, T-I-G, which is, well, Git backwards, but it's just a nice terminal viewer for working with Git repos. Reload, yeah, and there it has revealed that node. So yes, this approach does work for config nodes. You go to the config node sidebar, you make sure you've selected the node you want. You can go back to the info tab and notice that config node is the one shown down here, at which point you can copy item URL. I mean, notionally, again, we could add so many buttons against these, but we're not. Yeah. I do wonder how intuitive some of this stuff is. Now I come back to it having not played with this stuff for a while. Anyway. So yes, TIG, yeah, gives you a nice view of the Git history, and well, I have it set up to go to the status view by default, but there we are. Did I push? I don't think I pushed. I've pushed now. Let's just go back to our PR. Hit that ready for review, and I think that's good. Cool. Yeah, that's all just going to do its thing. Well, there we are. An hour or so of some Node-RED development, and we actually got a pull request ready to merge, which is nice. Yeah, just been all a bit busy with the day job recently to make too much of a dent on the backlog for Node-RED, but we'll give it a dive in. I mean, there's a few things here to dig into, but yeah, nothing too fatal. Well, I say fatal, nothing too critical, in that none of these are necessarily regressions. So there is one feature I raised, which maybe we'll look at this next week. Although it's a bank holiday now in the UK next Monday, so I don't know if I'll be streaming. I should make a decision now. Am I streaming or not? Yes, I'm going to stream. It might be a bank holiday, but I will still stream next week, unless I say otherwise before then. But anyway, this is a nice feature. Maybe we'll look at this one next week. So right now, when you customize, again, let me just get Node-RED running in the background. Done. When you want to customize a node and you can change its icon, we let you pick from any of the any of the built-in Node-RED icons, any of the Font Awesome icons we supply, and then icons from any of the other modules you happen to have installed, which is fine. Doing completely custom icons, perhaps more useful for subflows. There was a feature request which I sort of rather than stick on the backlog, I've put it straight in because it's quite a nice little feature. What if in this UI icon have an option for you to either upload or to drag and drop in a file, and for that to be used instead? Now, that would work. We can't have extra files. It's still got to be part of the flow JSON. But if we can base 64, like if it's an SVG, that we can base 64 and code it in line as a data URI, then that should work. I can't immediately see why that wouldn't work. So anyway, that might be something we have a play with next week. Just more options for some more flexibility around the icons. Anyhow, I'm going to leave it there. Node-RED Con, our conference, is 3 weeks away? 4 weeks away? I should know. It's soon. It's the end of the first week of October on the Friday. We've just notified all the successful speakers. We've got a bunch of interesting talks in a English track and a whole bunch of interesting talks in a Japanese track that will run in more time zone friendly. It's all going to be streamed online. We need to start promoting more of it. There's no registration. It's just going to be live streamed on our YouTube channel. So keep an eye out for more about that. Some really interesting talks. Looking forward to it. That's coming up. Otherwise, I think that's all the parish notices for tonight. So will everything? Yeah. So it will stream, quote unquote, live on the day of the conference, and then we will. It will then be available to replay. How exactly, where exactly? I mean, it'll be on YouTube. So yes, the talks everything will be available. Any chance of auto translation Japanese track? I mean, there's a chance, but no, it's not in the plan. The Japanese community are really good. They have a monthly meetup that they live stream. So there's already a whole load of interesting Node-RED content only in Japanese on YouTube to be found. I have dialed in a few times because their meetups tend to be in the evening, which is like our morning here in the UK. I've dialed in a couple of times and watched the live stream, and the slides look really interesting. And once or twice I've pinged someone in their community I know just to ask them for a bit more detail, as in any detail other than the slides. But so I'm really looking forward to the event. We've got a bunch of stuff to get done for it, but hey, that's all good. Otherwise, definitely enough prattling on. I am going to hang up and go do something else. So thanks all for joining. I will be back next week unless I say otherwise. If not, have a great week everyone and speak to you again soon. Bye.